Hey everyone, welcome back to Speak Smart IELTS, the podcast where words meet ideas and English meets the world. I'm your host, Emma, and today we're diving into a topic that literally runs through our lives. From our morning showers to our evening tea, water. Now, before you roll your eyes thinking, I've heard this before, global warming, droughts, melting ice caps, hold on. Because today's episode isn't about faraway deserts or dying rivers. It's about you, your cup of coffee, your laundry, your shower, your choices. It's about how our daily habits, often invisible, quietly shape one of the biggest crises humanity faces today, water scarcity. Let's start with a simple truth. Water feels infinite, but it isn't. We live on a planet that's 71% covered in water. Yet less than 1% of it is actually drinkable. The rest is locked away in oceans, glaciers, and deep underground aquifers that we can't easily access. And here's the scary part. According to the United Nations, by 2030, half of the global population could be living in areas under severe water stress. Half. That's not just numbers, that's billions of people. But what's even more surprising is that water scarcity isn't just caused by nature. It's caused by us, our consumption, our industries, our habits, and our mindset that water is endless. When you think of water scarcity, maybe you picture cracked earth, empty wells, and dusty villages. But scarcity can wear many faces. In some places, it means there's not enough water to drink or irrigate crops. In others, it means the water is there, but polluted, poisoned by factories or waste. And in modern cities, it's often about overconsumption. We simply use more water than ecosystems can replace. Think about it. In the time you've been listening to this podcast so far, thousands of liters of water have been used around the sea, world, not just by people drinking or showering, but by industries producing clothes, electronics, and food. Because behind almost everything we buy, there's a hidden number called the water footprint. Let's take a look at your wardrobe. That t-shirt you're wearing right now, it probably took around 2,700 liters of water to produce. That's enough for one person to drink for 2.5 years. And your favorite pair of jeans? Around 7,000, 10,000 liters. For one pair. How about your phone? It might surprise you that manufacturing a single smartphone uses around 13,000. Liters of water, from mining rare metals to cooling the machines in the factories. And then there's food, our everyday necessity that consumes unimaginable amounts of water. To produce just 1 kilogram of beef, farmers use roughly 15,000 liters of water. For chicken, it's about 4,000 liters. For vegetables, only 300-400. So, every time you eat a steak or a burger, you're indirectly consuming water. Gallons, and gallons of it. This is what experts call virtual water, the hidden water embedded in the products we consume. Most people never see it, yet it's everywhere, shaping global trade, agriculture, and even climate patterns. But let's bring it closer to home, to your morning routine. You wake up, head to the bathroom, brush your teeth. If you leave the tap running, you waste about 6 liters per minute. Then you shower. A 10-minute shower uses around 100 liters of water. Boil water for coffee, wash dishes, maybe run the washing machine. By 8 a.m., you might have already used 150 liters before breakfast. Now multiply that by the billions of people starting their day exactly the same way. It's staggering, and yet most of us rarely think about it. Because water is invisible. We don't see it disappearing drop by drop. But here's the good news. Small changes in our daily routines can add up to big results. Let's talk about some of those changes, not as rules, but as mindful habits. Number 1, turn off the tap. When brushing your teeth, washing vegetables, or scrubbing dishes, leaving the water running wastes 10-20 liters each time. If everyone in a city like Los Angeles did that one simple thing daily, it could save over 50 million liters of water per day. Number 2, shorten your showers. Cutting just 2 minutes off saves 15-25 liters each time. Do that every day for a year, and you've saved nearly 10,000 liters from one person. Number 3, reuse and recycle water when possible. For instance, the water you use to rinse rice or vegetables can be reused to water plants or collect rainwater for cleaning or gardening. It's not about perfection. It's about awareness. Now let's zoom out for a second. Water scarcity isn't just about individual choices. It's also a story about inequality. In many parts of the world, people walk miles every single day just to collect a few buckets of water, often not even clean. According to UNICEF, 1 in 4 people globally still don't have access to safe drinking water. Meanwhile, in wealthier countries, we flush toilets with perfectly clean water, the same quality we drink. There's a kind of irony, or maybe even injustice in that. A child in Kenya might carry water on her head for hours, while someone in New York might leave the shower running to warm up. Same planet, same resource, entirely different realities. So when we talk about saving water, it's not just an environmental issue, it's a moral one, about fairness, empathy, and sustainability. You might be thinking, okay, but what can I really do? I'm just one person. And that's fair. But remember, collective action starts with individual awareness. Every revolution, social, environmental, or technological, started with a few people who cared enough to act. Think of water-saving habits like voting. Your one vote might not change everything, but millions of votes together change history. When you choose to turn off the tap, take a shorter shower, or buy less water-intensive products, you're casting a vote for sustainability. And when you talk about it with your family, friends, students, or colleagues, you inspire others to do the same. That's how movements begin. Quietly. One habit at a time. Let's talk about one of the most overlooked aspects of water use: energy. Did you know that saving water also saves energy? Every drop that flows through your tap has to be treated, pumped, and heated. So when you waste water, you're also wasting the energy used to deliver it. In fact, in some countries, up to 10% of total electricity consumption goes into water treatment and supply systems. So by conserving water, you're indirectly reducing your carbon footprint too. That's a win-win for the planet and your utility bill. But maybe the most powerful thing we can change is our mindset. We live in a culture that values convenience and abundance. We expect water to be there, always. We buy, use, and waste, like there's no tomorrow. Yet, if you talk to people who've lived through droughts, farmers, villagers, or even city residents during water rationing, they'll tell you that scarcity changes everything. It changes the way you think, cook, clean, and even dream. You start measuring your life not in hours or money, but in liters. Maybe we don't need to wait for crisis to change the way we think. Maybe we can start learning from those who already live with less, not as pity, but as wisdom. Let's end this first part with a thought experiment. Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that water has been cut off for just one day. No shower, no toilet flush, no coffee, no washing your hands, no cooking. Just 24 hours without water. How would your day change? How much of your routine would suddenly feel impossible? Now imagine that's not one day, but every day, for millions of people around the world. That's the reality of water scarcity. And yet, we have the power, through awareness, innovation, and small behavioral shifts, to change that. Story. So next time you hear the gentle sound of running water, don't just let it fade into the background. Pause. Listen. That sound is life itself, moving, flowing, fragile. Every drop counts. Every choice matters. In the next episode, we'll explore how technology, urban design, and local communities are redefining water management. From smart irrigation systems to water recycling innovations in some of the world's driest cities. We'll look at what's working, what's failing, and what it truly means to live sustainably in the 21st century. Because saving water isn't about sacrifice, it's about adaptation. It's not about guilt, it's about growth. And it's not about one big change, it's about 1,000 small ones. Last time, we talked about how our daily routines quietly shape the global water crisis. One shower, one meal, one purchase at a time. But awareness is only the first drop. To turn awareness into action, we need something more powerful. Innovation, community, and above all, a mindset shift. So, let's pick up where we left off. At the intersection of human ingenuity and environmental responsibility. Because if the story of water scarcity is about survival, then the story of the next century is about reinvention. Imagine a city that never wastes a drop. In Singapore, that's almost a reality. This tiny island nation, with virtually no natural freshwater sources, has become a world leader in water innovation. They've developed something called New Water, a high-tech system that recycles used water through advanced purification and filtration processes, turning wastewater into drinking water that's actually cleaner than what flows from most taps in the world. Sounds futuristic? It's not. It's happening. Every day. New Water now meets up to 40% of Singapore's water demand, and the country plans to increase that to 55% by 2060. What's fascinating here isn't just the technology, it's the attitude. Singaporeans don't see water recycling as gross or last resort. They see it as smart, practical, and necessary. And that's the kind of mindset shift the world desperately needs. Now, let's cross continents, from Singapore's compact skyline to Israel's arid deserts. In a land where rainfall is scarce and summers are long, water scarcity could have spelled disaster. Instead, it sparked innovation. Israel built the world's largest desalination plants, using cutting-edge reverse osmosis technology to turn seawater into fresh water. Today, over 85% of Israel's domestic water supply comes from desalination. But here's the real kicker. They didn't stop there. Through drip irrigation, Israeli farmers can grow crops using 40–50% less water than traditional methods. It's not just efficiency, it's philosophy. They treat every drop like liquid gold. Now imagine if that same discipline were applied globally, if cities in California, Spain, or Australia adopted similar systems. It could literally rewrite the map of water security. But let's come back home, to our kitchens, our gardens, our neighborhoods. Because technology alone can't solve the crisis. It's people, ordinary people, who give innovation meaning. Let's talk about community-driven solutions. In Cape Town, South Africa, a few years ago, residents faced what was known as Day Zero, the day the city was expected to completely run out of water. It was one of the most alarming warnings in modern history. Yet something extraordinary happened. People changed, fast. They limited their showers to 90 seconds. They used gray water, the leftover water from washing and rinsing, to flush toilets. They collected rainwater in buckets and barrels. And miraculously, the city pulled back from the brink. Day Zero was postponed and eventually averted. Cape Town became a living case study of how collective behavior can shift when the stakes are high enough. It's proof that awareness, once combined with urgency, can drive real transformation. But the question is, do we really need a crisis to change? Or can we learn from those moments before disaster strikes? In Los Angeles, new, smart meters now track household water use in real time. They can even alert you when there's a leak in your system, or if you're using too much. In Barcelona, a city famous for its Mediterranean charm, they've installed underground water recycling tunnels that collect stormwater, filter it, and reuse it for cleaning streets and watering public gardens. And in Melbourne, community gardens are now being irrigated by recycled rainwater tanks, maintained by local volunteers. They're not just growing food, they're growing awareness. These cities prove that innovation doesn't always mean massive machines or billion-dollar projects. Sometimes it's about imagination and collaboration. Let's pause for a second and think about our relationship with water on a deeper level. Water isn't just a resource, it's a mirror. It reflects how we live, how we prioritize, and how we connect to nature. For centuries, civilizations were built around rivers: the Nile, the Ganges, the Mekong, the Mississippi. Water shaped our agriculture, our culture, even our spirituality. But somewhere along the way, especially in the modern industrial world, we disconnected. We stopped seeing water as sacred and started treating it as a utility. Maybe part of the solution lies in relearning reverence, not in a religious sense, but in a mindful one, to treat water not as something we own, but as something we share. You see, the more we learn about ecosystems, the more we realize that everything is connected. When we waste water, we don't just dry out rivers, we disrupt food chains, soil, health, and biodiversity. When rivers shrink, fish populations collapse. When wetlands disappear, carbon storage declines, worsening climate change. And that, in turn, affects rainfall patterns, making droughts even more severe. It's a vicious cycle. But cycles can also be reversed. Now let's talk about something powerful: education. Because the next generation might be our best hope. Around the world, schools are beginning to teach water literacy, not just as a chapter in science, but as a lifestyle skill. In Japan, children grow up with a cultural value called mottainai, meaning don't waste what's precious. It's not enforced, it's embodied. Kids learn to reuse water from washing rice to water plants. In India, NGOs like Jal Bhagirathi Foundation are teaching rural families simple water-saving practices, from building small check dams to harvesting rainwater. In California, students visit water treatment plants as part of environmental education, learning where their water comes from and where it goes, because you can't protect what you don't understand. And once people understand the story of water, really feel it, they act differently. But education shouldn't stop with kids. Corporations, too, play a massive role in this story. Industries account for nearly 20% of global freshwater withdrawals, and many are now rethinking how they operate. For instance, Levi's, the denim brand, redesigned its production process to reduce water use by up to 96% in certain product lines. Unilever recycles processed water in its factories, cutting millions of liters per year. Even tech giants like Microsoft are pledging to become water positive by 2030, meaning they'll return more clean water to the environment than they consume. These are not small promises. They're signals of a shifting business ethic, where sustainability isn't just good PR, but good economics. And if we, as consumers, reward those companies with our purchases, we reinforce that shift. Because every dollar we spend is also a vote for the kind of world we want to live in. Still, one of the hardest challenges remains behavioral inertia. We humans are creatures of habit. We resist change, especially when the consequences seem distant or invisible. That's why storytelling is so crucial. Statistics can inform, but stories transform. When you hear about a mother in Ethiopia walking 6 kilometers every day for water, or a farmer in Australia watching his fields dry out, or a child in Flint, Michigan unable to drink from her tap, those stories hit differently. They remind us that water isn't just science, it's humanity. And empathy might just be the most powerful conservation tool we have. There's also a philosophical layer to all this, the idea of enough. Modern society is obsessed with more comfort, more speed, more consumption. But maybe sustainability begins when we start asking, what's enough? Do I really need a 20-minute shower? Do I need to run my washing machine half full? Do I need bottled water when tap water is perfectly safe? Every question like that chips away at the illusion of endless abundance. And in that small space, between need and want, lies wisdom. Of course, water scarcity can't be solved by individuals alone. Governments and global cooperation are vital. Policies that promote efficient irrigation, restore ecosystems, and regulate industrial discharge matter immensely. The UN Sustainable Development Goal 6, clean water and sanitation for all, is more than a slogan. It's a lifeline, connecting climate action, health, and justice. Because water scarcity isn't an isolated issue. It's tied to everything else. Poverty, gender equality, food security, migration. When wells dry up, families move. When crops fail, economies collapse. When water is scarce, peace itself is at risk. But despite the magnitude, there's reason for hope. Right now, engineers are developing solar-powered desalination units for remote villages. Startups are creating atmospheric water generators, machines that pull moisture directly from the air. Urban planners are designing sponge cities, where streets and parks absorb rainwater instead of letting it run off. Even art is joining the movement, with installations that use recycled water, films that capture the beauty of rivers, and songs that remind us of our shared responsibility. Because saving water isn't just science, it's culture. So maybe the question isn't, can we fix water scarcity? Maybe it's, can we remember who we are and act accordingly? Humans have always been problem solvers. We built aqueducts before we had electricity. We crossed oceans before we had GPS. And we can, once again, learn to live in harmony with the element that gave us life. The future isn't written yet. It's flowing, just like water. And every choice we make today will ripple through generations. So tonight, when you hear water running, maybe from your faucet, your shower, or the rain outside your window, pause for a moment. Let that sound remind you that you're part of something vast and fragile. Remember, water doesn't just sustain life, it is life. And the story of water scarcity is really the story of how we choose to live on this planet. If we can learn to respect that, one drop at a time, then maybe, just maybe, the next generation won't inherit a world of drought, but a world of balance. Thank you for listening to Speak Smart IELTS. If this episode moved you, share it. Start a conversation. Ask your friends how they use water, and how they could use less. Because awareness grows like ripples, and ripples become waves. Together, we can make sure that wave carries not fear, but change. Until next time, stay aware, stay grounded, and always speak smart.